Good day, everybody. Okay, this is assignment 4. All right, so this assignment is going to have 2 parts. I'm going to do part 1 right now, and then in a couple days I'm going to send out part 2. Part 1, the one I'm going to do today, will be a written exercise, much like we did last time. Number 2 will be more of a guided imagery thing that will add on to what we're doing today. So I'm going to give you a couple, 3 days to play around with what I'm presenting to you today, and then we'll do the next part. Okay? Okay, so this one is going to be, just like in the last assignment, I'm going to ask you a short series of questions. And as I do, I'll ask a question, and then if you would pause the video and then journal in response, answer the question using pen and paper. Take as much time as you want or need with that. And then when you're ready to go on to the next question, come back to the video, hit play, get the next question, hit pause, write about it, and so on until we're through with this part of it. Okay? All right. I'll give you a second to get ready. Okay. So the first question, this is question 1, is where do you experience pain in your life? Where do you experience pain in your life? And that can be any kind of pain, physical, emotional. If you look at the different areas of your life, in your body, of course, also in your relationships, in your relationship with work, in how you are in your alone time, in your relationship with practice, in your activities, how you do what you do in your life. Just kind of do a little survey through your life and the different things you do in your life, and see if you can identify some of the places where you experience pain. Okay, that's question 1. So if you would hit pause and then answer that question, and then we'll come to question 2. Okay, welcome back. All right, question 2 is, this is going to take a little tiny bit of explaining. What I want you to consider is, of the pain that you're aware of, that you experienced, that you explored in question 1, what of that pain is real, in the sense that it's actually happening in life? You're actually responding to real things that are going on. And what of it is artificial, in the sense that the pain is being caused by some construct, some fiction that is happening in conditioned mind. So for example, any pain in itself is real. Any pain in your body, even emotional pain, is real in itself. But the cause can be real or unreal. So an example of a real cause of pain would be, you fell down and you bumped your knee. Okay, that's real pain there, coming from a real event. There's been some kind of, so this would be an emotional example, there's been some kind of loss. You've had a disappointment of some kind. You didn't get something that you were really hoping, like a promotion, let's say, that you're hoping to get. Something like that. There's going to be a real pain that is caused by that, and that is, to me, that is a real cause. It's actually something that's happening in your actual circumstances that is causing the pain. So some examples of artificial pain. Let's say you're walking down the street and somebody frowns at you, and conditioned mind tells you, well, the reason they frowned at you is because they don't like you, and the reason they don't like you is because you're not likable. Okay, there's going to be a pain that's going to come from that too. And it did come from an external event. It was triggered by the person who frowned at you. The cause, though, is the interpretation that's happening. Is the story that's being put on that event by conditioned mind. So that would be an artificial cause. Something else, like let's say there is a loss. Like let's say you did the same example. You didn't get your promotion. There's going to be an authentic pain that comes from that. But there's also going to be an artificial one, because conditioned mind, very likely, if you're like most people, is going to jump in and tell you what a loser you are that you didn't get the promotion, and all the reasons that are wrong with you and how you failed and everything to cause you not getting the promotion. All of that is going to create pain. And the pain itself is real, but the cause is artificial in that case, because it's all being drummed up by conditioned mind. Okay? All right, so I think that, hopefully that explains it well enough. hit pause in just a minute, if you will, and then just see what you see about that in relationship to the different kinds of pain that you looked at in question number 1. Okay, welcome back again. All right, question number 3 is this. What do you do to avoid pain? What do you do to avoid pain? Okay, so I want you to look at that in general, and I also want you to look at that in terms of what do you use to avoid pain? What substances, what habits, what obsessions, what compulsions, what distractions do you use to avoid pain? Okay, so in general, what do you do in general? And then in specific, what do you use to help you to avoid pain? Okay, and question number 4 is, what is your experience of being present with pain? We are all powerfully conditioned to avoid being present with pain, and we can talk about the reasons for that in the class. But we are all powerfully conditioned to avoid pain. When you can break through that conditioning, and in times in your life when you've done that, you've actually been present with your pain, the pain that's happening, what happens? What does that do to pain and for pain? Okay, those are the 4 questions. I have something else I want you to consider, and I'm going to explain it all, and then the video will end, and then you can go and mess around with this. I want to present to you a way of a process, a typical process for avoiding pain. It's sort of a model, you might say, for how we avoid pain. And I am going to, there's some steps in it, and I'm going to go through it. I don't have a good visual way to represent that. If I was doing this live with you, I would use a whiteboard and kind of draw it out for you. I'm not able to do that in any way that I can see that would be, useful in this case. So I'm going to describe it in words. But in the post that I send out when I send out this assignment in this video, I'll write out the questions that I just asked you, and I'll also write out the different steps in this model. Okay? So to begin to explain this, I want to give you just a general sort of thing to consider. So imagine a visual where, okay, there's pain, and the pain is like a circle, and then around the pain is another circle, and the circle of pain itself is real and authentic. Like I was saying before, pain itself is authentic. Doesn't matter what the cause is. What goes around the pain is the way that we avoid pain. It's the conversation with conditioned mind and the steps we go through in the process that I'm going to describe that helps us to go around and around and around the pain without ever actually addressing it or dealing with it. Because that's what we do. And that's why it's circular. So I start in one place in the process, and I go around in the process, and I come back to the beginning, and I start all over again, and I go around. That's what we're all doing with pain when we're in conditioned mind, is we're going around and around and around and around it, and we're not actually attending to it. The way to heal pain is to attend to it, to be present with it. We can't make it go away necessarily, but we can heal any trauma that comes with the pain and avoid any trauma that comes with pain if we can be present with the pain. And so the whole conditioned system is designed to keep us from being able to do that, and to keep our attention distracted in a process that goes around and around and around the pain, but never actually goes into the pain and addresses the pain. Okay? If you have any questions about that or comments, put them in the class, and we can explore that further. So here is a typical way that happens. So let's say something goes on that causes pain. So let's say, as an example, at work, I've had a project to do at work, and it didn't turn out it didn't turn out perfectly. There was something about it that didn't work out well. Well, there's going to be some pain that results from that. And I would say there's going to be some authentic pain that results from that. Now, of course, there is a place we can get to where something goes wrong and we just can go, we have no reaction whatsoever. It's just like, that's fascinating. That didn't go well. Wonder why. Let me see what I can do to make sure that doesn't happen in the future. Without any pain, without any sort of response. But I think for most people, when they're in their human state, and when I say that, I mean in their authentic human state rather than in their conditioned state. Even being in their authentic state, there's going to be a pain that comes with something like that, because it's just the thing has not gone in the way that we felt like we needed it to. So there's the authentic pain, and then there's going to be the artificial pain. So the pain is that spot, that circle in the middle, in itself authentic, happening apart from conditioned mind. And then here comes the process to deal with the pain. So the first part of the process is there's an interpretation. Well, why didn't that thing go well in that project? Well, it's obviously because I'm no good. I'm incompetent. So there's a decision that's made about what's wrong with me to explain the thing that's happened. Now there's a lot of pain. Once that's been added to it, there's a lot of pain. Well, how am I going to survive that pain? Well, I'm going to need to figure out what it is that's wrong with me and try to fix that. Right? That's logical. So then I will decide that, well, the reason I'm a loser and why I'm incompetent is because of this. And so I'm going to try to fix that and not be that way anymore, so that I don't have this pain happen anymore and I don't have this experience happening anymore. Okay, so that's the first step. You might call it like a decision to be perfect. Then there's a stress that builds because I am trying to be perfect. I'm trying to be the person I feel like I need to be in order to avoid the pain, and I'm failing at that. And the reason I'm failing at that is not necessarily because I actually am failing at that, but because conditioned mind is interpreting everything that's going on and it's telling me I'm going to fail at that. I am failing at that and am going to fail at that. So there's a stress that builds while I attempt to be perfect and along the way fail. And I'm collecting evidence, or conditioned mind is collecting evidence as I go along that I am actually a failure and I'm not succeeding at that. So in this case, it might point to other places where I don't do things perfectly to make sure that I am failing to be the person that I feel like I need to be to avoid the pain. Okay, the next step is I go to some kind of coping behavior. And this is partly why I wanted to ask you to look at what do you use in order to avoid pain, because it's a big part of how we avoid pain is we use something. So like, let's say in this, what I do to avoid the pain is I get on Netflix and I watch Netflix for 2 or 3 or 4 hours. Well, as I've done that, I have successfully avoided the pain, probably to some degree, because my attention has been distracted, and I'm not in the story about how incompetent I am and how inevitable it's going to be that I fail. And also, it's just gobbled up by the content of the movie or the show or whatever I'm watching, and so I've escaped it for a little while. And so there's a feeling better because of escape from it, but then there's a feeling worse because I have in doing my coping behavior, I have proven that I'm not the person that I feel like I need to be in order to avoid the pain. Doing that makes me a bad person. Having watched Netflix for 3 or 4 hours makes me a bad person, and so now I once again have failed to be the person I should be, and I'm experiencing pain because I'm getting beat up for not succeeding in being the person I should be. So then I decide to be perfect, and I'm back to the beginning. So I won't do that again. I'm not going to watch Netflix again. I'm going to buckle down. I'm going to get my work done. I'm going to do it perfectly, and that's the way that I'm going to be the person I should be, and I'll never have to have this experience and never have to have the pain of feeling like I'm a failure. Okay? Let me use another example real quick just to make sure that you're clear. So let's say this actually happened to a friend of mine recently. She met somebody online on a dating site, and he was really into her, it seemed like, and they were making plans to get together, and then he ghosted her. He just disappeared without a word. And and dropped the communication, unfriended her on the online dating site, and just went away. And she had believed him that he really liked her, and that they were going to be friends and maybe something more. And so that was really painful for her. Okay, so there's the pain, and that's a good example, I think, of an authentic pain. You know, that I think would be probably painful for just about all of us. Now, again, there is probably this place where, well, it's not just probably, I know there is in my experience this place where something like that could be experienced without pain if I am not attached to like my human interaction with things. You know, if I'm in a transcendent place in relationship to my human experience, you know, that would not particularly cause pain. I just might go, whoa, boy, what was going on with him? That's crazy that he would do that. But you know, there's not a pain there. But for just about anybody, I would say that there's going to be some pain there. So now she didn't tell me this. This is something I'm making up on that example, but I would guess she probably did something like this if she allowed conditioning to get involved in any way, which she may not have. So how might a person survive that pain? Well, first they would decide, okay, the reason why that happened is I'm not good enough. So maybe, you know, I'm not likable, not lovable, not attractive enough, something like that. So I need to be a better person. I need to be more the person that I should be. So maybe in this case, the person might, do some classes in how to be a better person, and get on the treadmill and exercise and try to be more attractive, or things like that. And then so there's the decision to be perfect. There's the the stress in the work to be perfect. And then let's say what would a good coping behavior be? Well, and here'd be a good one: eat a bunch of food. Eat a bunch of ice cream. And then there's a relief in that. There's a feeling better, but then there's a feeling worse because, now, okay, look, if I keep doing this, I'm going to put on some pounds and I'm going to make myself less attractive and not be the person I should be in order to be likable and lovable and attract someone to be my person. So I've just failed to be the perfect person I need to be in order to get what I want and avoid experiencing the pain. And there we are back at the beginning in the decision to be perfect. Okay? So I hope you follow that. It's a bit tricky without the visual, but there you go. See what you think. And if you, so take some time to explore that. And what I want you to do is I want you to map out how that is for you. So maybe pick an event that's happened recently or something you remember from the past where there was some pain, and map out what you did to avoid that pain. If there's anything going on currently where you're experiencing some pain currently, map that out. See how you go about avoiding that pain, how you are currently attempting to avoid that pain by doing this process. Okay? All right, good. Thank you all very much. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the class.